Welcome to the Bookshop at the End of the Internet. This podcast is dedicated to helping book lovers discover new authors. Like all the best bookshops, this podcast is filled with all kinds of books and all kinds of authors. So tune in, browse around, find a new author, and discover a new favorite book at the Bookshop at the End of the Internet. I'm Stacey Horan, author, book lover, and host of the Bookshop at the End of the Internet. This is episode number 262. For more information about this or any of our episodes, go to my website, staceyhoran.com. If you enjoy the podcast, leave us a review, like us on social media, and share us with your friends, family, and fellow readers. In today's episode of the Bookshop at the End of the Internet, I'm chatting with author Andy Honda about her new children's series, Koa's Ruff Life. This darling series features Andy's rescue dog, Koa, a Rhodesian Ridgeback, as he embarks on adventures around New York City. There are currently 3 books in print: Koa's Adventure to the Central Park Zoo, Koa's Bryant Park Scavenger Hunt, and Christmas Time in New York City, with more books and adventures yet to come. This series is Andy's love letter to New York City. The stories are inspired by Andy and Koa's everyday adventures, with the goal of capturing the small but wonderful moments of their life together. Andy has also included fun facts about New York City sprinkled throughout the books to inspire curiosity in young readers. In this episode, I'll chat with Andy about her writing journey, how she grew up loving science but found a love of writing later in life, and how she and Koa enjoy spending time volunteering at children's hospitals and schools for kids with special needs, as well as a few other things. Coming up. Andy Honda, thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I thought what we could do today is talk about your new children's series, Koa's Ruff Life. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the series in general and what inspired you to start writing it.
Sure. So Koa's Ruff Life is a children's book series that is inspired by our daily adventures in New York City. It follows Koa on his adventures to the zoo, to Bryant Park, and it just is a story that has fun facts throughout. So you follow him on his day together. I wanted to bring learning to life by creating stories that spark curiosity, by blending that fun facts into that storytelling. I wanted to capture the small moments of our daily lives. This series is really a love letter to New York City, celebrating its energy, its history, and its heart. Really sharing that wonder and magic of this city with children everywhere.
Nice, very nice. So before we get into the details of each of the books, I think we should probably introduce everyone to Koa. Can you tell us a little bit about Koa, how you met, who Koa is, and then I want to get into a little bit also about his day job,
Sure.
his other role.
Sure. So Koa entered my life about 7 years ago. I really wanted a running partner. So Rhodesian Ridgebacks are our top 5 long-distance running dogs. And so I got Koa, and, you know, we went through about 2 years of training. So anyone who doesn't know what a Ridgeback is, he is a large dog. He currently weighs 96 pounds and is basically as tall as I am. So we're basically the same size. So, you know, I really wanted to spend time to train him. So we had a shared language where, especially in New York City, where, you know, it's so busy that he always has to be on a leash. So, you know, I really wanted that shared language. About 5 years ago, there was one of my friends had said that, you know, Koa could be a great therapy dog. And I took that to heart, because one of the things I really enjoy is to volunteer. It's been part of my life since I was a child. And I was really looking for something new. And so I thought, why not? And so we actually volunteer at a children's hospital and a school with kids with special needs. I have two stories
Okay.
about his therapy work. And one of that where during the holiday, we went to the school and we made these Christmas cards with Cole's paw prints. And that's how I actually got the idea to do the paw prints as autograph. Child would help Koa make a paw print, decorate the card, and then take it home as a keepsake.
Oh.
So that's more of that was one because it was for the holidays. I thought it would be a great one to share. The other one is how he comforts. There was one visit, a teacher had mentioned that the kids had a bit more energy that morning. It was a Friday morning. We volunteer on Fridays. It just fits better in my schedule. But as soon as Cole walked in, the whole atmosphere shifted. He brought this sense of calm that everyone could feel. And it really is a reminder of why we do this work. And it really warmed my heart. So those are the two stories that I love to tell about Koa's service. But even just, on our daily walks, you can see that people just smile just seeing him. And so those are the two stories I love to share.
Oh, very nice. Because I don't think people would naturally assume that a Rhodesian Ridgeback would be a good therapy dog, right? Because people who have seen them, I mean, they're large, powerful dogs.
Yeah.
So the idea that something that large and powerful can be a calming influence is really amazing, I think.
Yes. The other thing the thing I thought about as I was sharing those stories, I love the fact that, Koa is a reminder to lead with your heart. The simplest acts of kindness can make a difference, and to always stay present are like the two things I take away every day because of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well said. Well, how did you meet? And then let's talk a little bit about his personality.
So about 7 years ago, I was looking for a running partner, and Rhodesian Ridgebacks are top 5 running long distance dogs. Ridgebacks are known, they're lion hunters and they're large dogs. And so one of the things I was really looking for was that running partner. And we run together in Central Park every day during off-leash hours in the morning.
Wow. Okay. I'm sure for anybody seeing him come at them, that might be a little unnerving if they didn't know Koa, to see a big dog built for taking lions down. That might be a bit unnerving.
Well, definitely. If you don't know Ridgebacks, they are really they're just big cats. They're just lovable. They're very intelligent, but they're just little balls of love.
So when you were running with him, spending time with him in the park, going about your day in New York City, at some point it must have clicked. Okay, there's a book here. Like, I can put all of this in books. At least kids, probably people in general, but at least kids would find this fun. It would be fun to read about him and him going about his day. At what point in your relationship with Koa did this idea occur to you?
Yeah, so my passion has always been to educate through everyday adventures. My original vision for a children's book was to teach kids about medicine and diseases using my background with my doctorate. And I just really wanted to explain topics that I wish I understood when I was younger to make healthier choices. But that story never quite came to life. When I finally let my expectations go and I just put pen to paper, Koa's adventures emerged. And it was completely unexpected and completely true to my heart. So when I started writing, and I thought, what better way to show kids and through the curiosity of a dog that, we live in New York City. There's endless stories to tell, and it's always something interesting. We can walk down the street and, go to the mall, and dogs are allowed at malls. And so it was kind of sort of like having this adventure that kids can connect to, because it is part of it could be part of their real life as well. Research has shown that fun facts spark curiosity, and kids retain up to 70% more information when it's embedded in a story. And so that's kind of sort of how it all came together. I just started writing, and Koa's stories came to life. And knowing what I know about how kids learn, and with my background, where professionally, I make these stories and I take these concepts and I blend them together so people can relate and understand. And that's how really the stories came to be.
So you have 3 books out in the series. Let's talk about each of them in
Sure.
turn, without any spoilers, of course. Can you give a little bit of insight into Koa's adventures?
Sure. So book 1 is Koa's adventure to the Central Park Zoo. Now, this is inspired by our daily runs in Central Park. Every morning, we have several routes, and they always pass the sea lions at the zoo. And at the Central Park Zoo, there's a pedestrian pathway that looks over, and you can see the sea lions without actually being admitted into the zoo. And I actually love the sea lions. Sometimes they're flapping around. Sometimes they just kind of lay there in the sun. And I always stop to see what they're doing. And so this is actually inspired by that concept. And this story actually starts in the morning, where we wake up on the Upper West Side where we live. He stops to get some breakfast, bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich that is so iconic New York City at a bodega. And it's so we just walk. It kind of follows his day to the zoo. You meet the animals that live at that zoo and learn some fun facts about it. And then he just returns home. And so the story really is just a day in the life in New York City.
So that's book 1. Book 2.
Yes.
Bit of a scavenger hunt?
Yes. So book 2 is Bryant Park Scavenger Hunt, where Koa goes to the Bryant Park and has a scavenger hunt. He has to find all these things that exist there. And so there's the carousel. There is a hidden door that leads to an underground library. And so you kind of have to find all these things. And that is the day. He takes a stop. He hangs out with the jugglers that are at the lawn at Bryant Park. And then at the end of the day, you follow him home. And this book, at the back end, there is a page where you can tear off, and you can actually go to Bryant Park and find those items that Koa did in the book.
Right. Very good. And then the 3rd book, we are a little late in discussing it, but nevertheless, we are well in advance of when you might want this book for next year.
Yes, it's a holiday adventure through New York City. It's called Christmas Time in New York City. So we visit some of the most beloved traditions. We kick off with the Macy Day Parade, which just had its 75-year anniversary. We visit the Rockefeller Christmas tree. We skate at Wilmot Rink with his friends. This story really celebrates that magic of the season and is inspired by our Christmas morning tradition. Every year, we stroll down Fifth Avenue to view the window displays. We stop by the Rockefeller Christmas tree, and we have lunch at Bryant Park Winter Village.
Very nice. Yeah, that's not a bad day. A day in the life of a dog. It's not a bad day at all. So what are your plans going forward for the series? I mean, hopefully Koa has more adventures in him that he's willing to share.
Yes, I think New York City has endless stories to tell, and Koa is just getting started. We've only spent some time in Manhattan, and there's 4 other boroughs to do. I think we also haven't seen the very iconic touristy spots yet. We haven't, been to any of those yet. So there's so many stories to tell. I also think he can go on road trips and see other cities. That it's something we actually do. One of the things we love to do during warmer months is go hiking and going to explore. He's already been to so many cities. I can't imagine why we wouldn't start writing about them as well.
But let's talk about bringing the books to life.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the writing process. So, were you always a writer? I mean, is this something, is writing something you have always done in this writing fiction in particular, say children's fiction? Is this something you've always done or wanted to do?
While I love reading, I never imagined becoming an author. I grew up loving science and knew I wanted to work in medicine. Writing emerged more organically as a way to translate that curiosity, learning, and compassion into stories that can inspire others. Writing became a way for me to educate and connect beyond the clinical setting.
So, how did you find the process of writing? Because in particular, writing children's books, because it's a difficult thing to do, to get big concepts and a whole day's worth of adventure down to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a few dozen pages and so many
Mm-hmm.
words. How did that compare to what the kind of writing and storytelling you did in your professional life?
Mm-hmm. So in medicine, clarity is in details. In picture books, clarity is in that emotion, and learning that balance is really a challenge. I struggled in the beginning to let go of all the details of the facts, and that balance of knowing your audience is really key. So whenever I started writing, my first draft would always be way longer than it should have been, and so parsing that down was a skill I had to learn very quickly.
And the book is illustrated. So how was it relying on someone else
Mm-hmm.
to bring that book to life on the page? I mean, you give it the words, but they give it
Mm-hmm.
the illustrations, which for kids really helps bring the story home. How was it turning that
Absolutely.
part
Mm-hmm.
over to someone else?
So the hardest part for me was finding that illustrator. I might have spent over 6 months finding the right illustrator. But once I saw how she drew her own dog, I just knew instantly she was going to understand that heart of that story. And from that moment on, everything just clicked. I had provided her a few ideas about how I envisioned the first few pages on a first draft, but I ensured that I gave her enough degrees of creative freedom because she, like you said, she really is that expert in visual storytelling. And I never wanted to limit that. And after I saw that first draft on our first book, I just knew. It just clicked.
Yeah. So it was Koa on the page when you saw it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good, good. So the process of putting a book out into the world, probably
Mm-hmm.
very different from what you experience normally in your professional life, in your other job. What surprised you about it? One, did you find it easy? Like this whole process from drafting to putting it out into the world and marketing and all that stuff that has to go with it. Difficult, enjoyable, frustrating. Talk to me about what you experienced and how that either aligned or diverged from your expectations of what it would be.
Yeah. So I believe, and people might disagree with me, there are less restrictions when you're publishing a book versus publishing something in medicine that needs some peer review. And so the process of content-wise for me was a little bit easier. However, there's a lot more steps when you are publishing a book versus publishing, a journal book or a manuscript for a journal or, a textbook for school. So that part was different, and all that other things, because there's so many other, I want to say, guardrails that it's very defined of what you do. When you work in pharmaceutical industries, what I'm doing now, and those two are very different as well. They love the fact that you can slim down that science, and then there are medical, legal, and review committees that make sure you follow those lines. And getting all those out is also quite easy because everyone else is doing their part. When you're doing a children's book series on your own, is you have all those other things that you've never thought about, and you're doing it all yourself. So, the fact that I could choose my own illustrator before I couldn't, like, whoever was there is who you have, and you work with them. So I was given that freedom of getting to choose things. Came with both good and bad. And then so making those, and there was a lot more that I had to learn in order to get the books out and what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And those are the bigger choices that we took some time to think about. But writing the book was, I think, the easiest part of the entire process.
And that says a lot, because writing the book is no easy feat. So if that's the easiest part of the process, it gives people an idea of just how daunting a task it is to put a book out in the world.
Yeah.
Let alone to get people to read it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and your comment about good and bad, all that freedom that you have in writing something like this compared to your other writing. Yes, I mean, you had the freedom to make all those decisions yourself, and yet the downside is you have to make all those decisions. There's no one else you can pass it off to.
Exactly.
Well, I wanted to ask, because the book focuses on Koa, and obviously the two of you spend a lot of time together, and you've had all these adventures. Were you always a dog person?
Yes,
okay.
I grew up with dogs.
Okay.
My family has always, even as a child, had dogs, and I always knew I wanted a dog when I was older, and so dogs, yes, always.
So, if you could go back in time and tell let's say your 7-year-old self, if you were if you go back and tell yourself at the age of the kids who would be reading these books, that not only would you have your own dog and he'd be fabulous, but that you'd be writing stories about him, what do you think your 7-year-old self would say?
I wouldn't believe it. Just because I was always a math and science girl. That came easier to me. Writing and reading was something I put on the back burner because it wasn't although I loved reading, it wasn't part of where I wanted to go, even at 7. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon at 5. And so reading wasn't I loved reading, but how I wrote and writing wasn't really a thought in my mind.
Yeah, so your 7-year-old self would really have her mind blown if she only knew.
Exactly. she wouldn't believe you.
Well, I'm very curious because in your bios and in your write-ups about the book, it seems like your experiences with Koa kind of took a turn that maybe a lot of people and their experiences with their own dogs wouldn't. You went down a path a lot of people wouldn't. And you've had some adventures with him and some experiences with him and put a lot of faith in him in a number of respects. And a lot of people haven't done that, haven't experienced those things. Can you talk a little bit about how the license you gave to Koa to direct and select and choose various aspects of your day, your relationships, your adventures, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So when Koa was under 1, we spent a lot of time in Central Park during the off-leash hours, just letting him run and burn off all that puppy energy. You start seeing that same dogs you see and that same people. And Koa naturally just found his group. We'd walk together every morning as the city woke up. And I've learned that dogs really are that reflection of their owners. The people Koa gravitated to would be also the people I would gravitate to. So in a big city, Koa didn't just find playmates. He found a community. And I trusted his instincts. And it was really a reminder that sometimes belonging doesn't start with words. And it's something really beautiful when you let your dog lead the way. And so I've kind of taken that from even when he was under 1, I kind of took that cue from him. And that's why we started volunteering together. Koa's superpower is empathy. He has this amazing gift to bring comfort and calm wherever he goes. He's unbothered by sudden sounds and movements. And I think that's also because when he was, 8 weeks old, he moved to the big city. Sirens would be going off all the time. He's empathetic. He senses people's emotions and adjusts his energy accordingly. And that's really what a therapy dog has to do. He's very tolerant to touch and the unpredictability of humans. And so it's kind of those things, like his temperament is why I've allowed him to choose sometimes, like, and he's a man who has big opinions. If he doesn't want to walk a certain direction, he will stop. And it's not like I can say, oh no, let's go anyways and pick him up. So I say, okay, and we go another, and I'm sure there's a reason why. So, allowing dogs to, especially Koa, to make choices to choose your friends, to choose your activities, has given me such joy that I have continued to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're lucky. I mean, I've known a lot of dogs, and not all of them would be ones that I would trust to make good decisions, let's say. But it sounds like it sounds like Koa is pretty intelligent and empathetic. So I imagine, and at 100 pounds, nearly 100 pounds, it's probably easier just to let him have his way more often than not.
within reason, but yeah.
What are your goals now? I mean, you said you had a lot of other books, ideas in mind for the series, but do you have other goals that you want to do with respect to this writing journey of yours?
Yeah, so I actually found a huge passion in writing. I believe knowledge is power, and I want to educate people from what I know in a way that they can understand. And so, as I've spoken before, that first series I want to do about teaching medicine, I still want to do that. I want to make it approachable for kids. I finished the first draft of that, and I'm excited about it. So I still want to do that. I also want to do books on wellness for adults that's grounded in science. I like to believe that if you understand the science behind why things work, then people will be more inclined or more empowered to make better choices. And I'm still a big person of the written word. So I think writing is the best way to do it. I know in the modern world that may not be as true as it was when I was growing up, but I've always loved books, and I will continue to hopefully show that books are still relevant.
Yes, well, I am squarely in that camp, obviously. Books are absolutely relevant, and there should be, people should read as many as possible. So to that end, if people want to follow you, learn more about Koa and what he's up to, where can they go to find that information?
Yeah, so we have a website, koasrufflife.com. It is also where you can purchase his books. If you purchase his books on our website as an exclusive, he will sign the books. And then anything that you can also follow him on Instagram at Koa's Ruff Life. And anything about more of my professional or what else that's going on, I do have my own website at andyhonda.md.com. And it also has a blog where I do some of that writing of that science of every day, but also announcements of what's coming up.
Very good. Very good. And if people want to purchase a copy of any of the books in the Koa's Ruff Life series, where can they go to buy them?
Yeah, anywhere online that you would normally go, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It's almost everywhere. And if you want to go to your local store and tell them to start stocking your copy of Koa's Ruff Life.
That's not a bad idea. But again, if you want a signed copy from Koa himself, head over to your website.
Exactly.
Good. Well, Andy, I want to thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast. And I want to wish you luck with Koa's Ruff Life, 3 books out and all those yet to come. We're very excited for those. So congratulations on everything you've accomplished so far. Best of luck with the rest of your writing journey.
Thank you.
The Bookshop at the End of the Internet is a podcast dedicated to helping book lovers discover new authors. Like any good bookshop, this podcast features a wide variety of books by the equally varied and interesting authors who felt compelled to write them. This podcast gives you a chance to meet these wonderful writers and discover your next must-read book. Listen to the authors describe their books and tell you their stories in their own words. My interviews feature books from all genres and authors from all walks of life, including those who are indie published as well as those published by small presses and large publishing houses. Looking for unique, not so easy to find books for yourself, a friend, or a book club? Tune into this podcast and find your newest favorite author or maybe a soon-to-be bestseller. This podcast, like all the best bookshops, is filled with all kinds of books and all kinds of authors. Tune in, browse around, find a new author, and discover a new favorite book. You never know what treasures you might find in the Bookshop at the End of the Internet.